It was a beautiful summer evening in July 2014, the kind of night meant for family bonding, laughter, and celebration, but for Daniel Wright the evening held a much darker purpose. As the family gathered for their annual reunion in Huntsville, Alabama, no one suspected that this night would mark the end of his marriage and the public shaming of his wife Amanda. In the early months of 2014, Daniel Wright's life appeared to be everything he had worked for: a successful career, a stable home, and a marriage that had stood the test of time. For over 15 years as a manager in a tech company, Daniel had built a life filled with structure and order, the very foundations he believed would keep his family secure. His dedication to his work had always been intense, spending long hours at the office climbing the corporate ladder to provide for his wife Amanda and their 2 children. He had never imagined that this very dedication, this pursuit of success, would one day leave cracks in the life he had so carefully built. Amanda Wright, 4 years younger than Daniel, was a devoted stay-at-home mother who had for years balanced the responsibilities of raising their children and maintaining the household. She was once the center of attention in Daniel's life, but as his career demands grew, Amanda found herself feeling isolated in the quiet moments between school drop-offs, errands, and the endless routines of motherhood. Amanda began to feel invisible. The attention she craved, the companionship she longed for, seemed to disappear as Daniel's work consumed him. By 2012, she had fallen into a routine that felt like a prison, one where her beauty, energy, and zest for life were overshadowed by Daniel's long absences and the everyday grind of family life. By 2013, Amanda had discovered a new outlet: fitness. She began attending the local gym regularly, reclaiming a piece of her identity through health and wellness. It was here that she met Jake Stevens, a 30-year-old personal trainer full of energy and charm. Jake was everything Daniel wasn't. He was youthful, spontaneous, and attentive. Amanda started training with him several times a week, and before long she found herself confiding in him, sharing details about her struggles at home. Jake in turn made Amanda feel seen, admired. Even their connection grew deeper with every session, and before she could fully comprehend it, Amanda was wrapped up in an emotional and physical affair. At first, the affair was a thrilling escape for Amanda. It gave her a sense of freedom, a chance to step outside the boundaries of her predictable life. But as months went by, the weight of her secret began to take a toll. Amanda had always been known for her dedication to her family, and the affair became a growing source of guilt. Her love for Daniel and the life they had built together had not disappeared, but she could not let go of the emotional connection she had developed with Jake. The more entangled she became, the more distant she grew from Daniel, and he, absorbed in his work, remained largely oblivious until early 2014. It was late in May when Daniel first started to notice the shift in Amanda. Their once simple and comfortable routines had become disrupted. She had grown increasingly protective of her phone, taking it with her everywhere, something she had never done before. She was always texting, and Daniel noticed that her gym sessions had started to extend longer than usual. Small moments of Amanda's absence began to pile up, and though Daniel tried to push his growing suspicions aside, the feeling that something wasn't right became too powerful to ignore. Daniel wasn't the kind of man to act on impulse. He had always prided himself on his ability to think rationally, to analyze situations before reacting, but with Amanda something had shifted inside him. He had never imagined that his wife, the woman he had trusted and loved for over 15 years, would betray him in such a way. The emotional distance between them was growing daily, and though they never fought or argued, the silence between them was deafening. One evening, as Amanda lay asleep beside him, Daniel found himself staring at her phone on the nightstand. She had fallen asleep with it clutched tightly in her hand, a habit that had become increasingly common over the past few weeks. That night, after Amanda's breathing grew steady, Daniel reached for her phone. His heart pounding, he knew this was the moment that could either confirm or erase all his doubts. What Daniel uncovered shattered him. In a series of messages, he saw the truth laid bare in front of him. The messages between Amanda and Jake were explicit, the photos even more revealing. As he scrolled through the text, Daniel's hands shook. There was no mistaking what was happening. His wife had been having an affair, one that was far more than just a fleeting connection. The reality of Amanda's betrayal settled over him like a heavy weight. In those first moments, Daniel's mind raced. He thought about the years they had spent together, their wedding day in 1999, the birth of their children, the life they had built. It was as if every memory, every moment of happiness had been tainted by the discovery of Amanda's infidelity. But instead of confronting her right then, instead of waking her up in a rage, Daniel chose a different path. His anger turned cold, calculated. He wanted more than just an explanation. He wanted Amanda to feel the same humiliation and betrayal that she had caused him. In the weeks that followed Daniel's discovery of Amanda's affair, his life became a series of calculated decisions, each move more deliberate than the last. What started as an emotional shock, a gut-wrenching blow to the life he thought he had, soon turned into something darker. His grief turned into an obsession not to save the marriage but to make Amanda feel the same pain, the same betrayal that had consumed him. He no longer saw her as the woman he had loved for over 15 years. To Daniel, Amanda had become a stranger, someone capable of ripping apart their life without a second thought. Daniel began following her. He knew her routine well. The time she went to the gym, the time she would be with Jake, pretending it was just another session. But Daniel knew better now. Every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, Amanda would leave the house dressed in her gym clothes, with a small duffel bag slung over her shoulder. Daniel would wait for her to leave before quietly slipping out of the house himself. Careful not to arouse suspicion, he would park a few blocks away from Jake's private training studio, far enough not to be noticed, but close enough to observe her movements. At first, he only caught glimpses Amanda and Jake exchanging smiles, standing too close together, walking into the studio side by side. But as the weeks passed, Daniel began to see more, enough to confirm that their relationship went far beyond personal training. There were moments when he saw them embrace in the parking lot, Amanda glancing around nervously before leaning in to kiss Jake. Daniel's blood boiled, but he kept his distance. His anger was now a cold, quiet thing, something that sat deep inside him, pushing him toward his goal. Each time he saw them together, Daniel collected more evidence. He took photos from a distance, capturing the intimate moments they thought were hidden from the world. He waited patiently, keeping a record of each meeting, each betrayal. Amanda had no idea he was watching her every move, that Daniel was slowly building the case against her. Inside the house, Daniel became an expert at hiding his emotions. He spoke to Amanda as if nothing was wrong, but their conversations were short, their interactions limited. He spent more time in his home office, where he meticulously compiled the evidence. His cold demeanor didn't raise any alarm with Amanda, who believed her secret was safe. Little did she know Daniel had access to everything: her phone, her emails, even the hidden corners of their life that she had tried to keep from him. In mid-June, Daniel hired a private investigator to ensure that nothing was left to chance. The investigator, a man Daniel found through discreet online searches, was thorough and professional. He followed Amanda on days when Daniel couldn't, capturing even more damning evidence: photographs of Amanda leaving Jake's house late at night, phone records showing long conversations between the two, and receipts from the motel they had met at on several occasions. The private investigator's report was detailed, leaving no doubt about the depth of Amanda's affair. By the end of June, Daniel had everything he needed. The evidence was overwhelming, a collection of texts, emails, photos, and videos that painted a clear picture of Amanda's infidelity. But Daniel wasn't satisfied with just collecting proof. He wanted more. He wanted the entire family to see the truth, to witness Amanda's betrayal. The way he had that was when he began working on the video in his home office late at night. While Amanda slept in the next room, Daniel sat at his computer piecing together the narrative of her affair. He started with the text messages, the ones filled with promises and confessions, messages that made Daniel sick to his stomach.